Chosen one, stop for a moment. This isn't just another message. You didn't land here by chance. Every step, every twist in your path has brought you right here, to this exact moment. And why? Because you're not like everyone else. You've been set apart for something greater, something only you can carry. You can feel it, can't you? That fire inside that refuses to be ignored. That quiet knowing that you're meant for more than just going through the motions. This is your wake-up call. Your reminder that the universe, the divine, whatever name you give it, has its eyes on you right now. You are chosen. You are called. And this is your time to rise. What once felt like a faint echo now roars forward with undeniable presence. Hear this truth. What you've longed for in quiet moments, what you've whispered to yourself when no one was listening, is already stepping into the light. These are no longer distant hopes suspended in some unreachable place. They begin to weave themselves into the fabric of your reality. This is not simply a shift in thought. It's the earth beneath you moving, looking for purpose and peace. Hit subscribe and start the journey. A rare and profound turning begins to unfold, a current of energy that only those attuned to it can recognize. Get ready for a cascade of events so swift and unexpected they leave you stunned. New horizons appear without warning. Barriers that once seemed immovable dissolve when you least anticipate it. To embrace the fullness of this force, inner harmony is essential. A quiet alignment of your will, your vision, and your spirit. Obstacles arise from refusal or neglect, cutting off what seeks to arrive. Stop everything. Before stepping further, 3 actions awaken this passage. Take a small step now that signals your openness to the unseen. Join the circle of those walking this path, and affirm your readiness with a gesture of intention. These simple moves awaken something ancient in you. This call is not meant for the hesitant or the indifferent. It resonates only in those who carry within them a knowing beyond doubt. If uncertainty clouds the mind, it may mean the hour is not yet right. But if the words sink deeper, if something inside won't let go, then prepare yourself, because what lies ahead will not leave you unchanged. What's coming will ask of you more faith than ever before. You will face trials, but you will also rise higher than you dared imagine. The patterns of existence shift. The hidden mechanisms of the cosmos align themselves in your favor. At some point on every journey, the familiar world begins to blur and a strange, powerful voice stirs within, impossible to ignore. This is no ordinary moment. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. It arrives as an undeniable summons, heavy with purpose and impossible to dismiss. If these words reach you now, it is no accident. Something within you has been silently readied, waiting, and now the threshold stands open. This message cuts through the noise of everyday life, insisting you pause, breathe, and truly take it in. Too long you've been pulled away by distraction, and now something greater extends a hand, asking, no, insisting on your full attention. Like the steady gleam of a distant beacon in a night sky, it draws you back toward clarity and meaning. Know that this urgency is born not of fear, but of destiny. Every moment counts, and this chance will not linger. What is asked of you is not merely to listen, but to answer, completely and without delay. The path ahead is deep, reshaping everything you thought you knew, and nothing short of extraordinary. Imagine stepping through a hidden door into a place where the most awake and luminous beings gather, their purpose shining like fire, and finding yourself among them. There are rare moments when an invisible hand draws certain souls into a hidden assembly, where those carrying the quiet spark of awakening meet in unspoken recognition. It is not by luck nor by random chance that this invitation appears. It is the result of every unseen choice, every silent turning, that has led here without fanfare or announcement. Here waits the circle that has always belonged to you, those whose essence resonates with yours beyond words. It is within this shared space that bonds of purpose and quiet strength form, not by design, but by necessity. Entering this unseen fellowship means stepping beyond all that is familiar and predictable. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of his sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor his kingdom. May his grace guide you always. The call urges a shedding of what clings and distracts, to release the layers of pride, fear, and noise that cloud the way. To arrive fully in this place, one must cultivate a discipline and reverence that cannot be borrowed or imitated. The air here hums with possibility, with renewal that is neither loud nor showy but undeniable. Being here helps shape a chapter no one could have written alone. An unseen presence stands ready, offering to take from you what weighs too heavily, to show clarity where confusion has settled, and to serve your deepest becoming. Yet such support does not impose itself. It waits for acknowledgement, for attention unbroken by the chatter of elsewhere. The chance is fleeting, requiring decisiveness and resolve before it passes. The clutter of needless thoughts and the pull of shallow distractions weaken what is possible. Assistance flows only when met fully, when surrendered to wholly, and without reluctance. This quiet partnership does not move toward you unless invited. It is dynamic, deliberate, and waits only for you to turn toward it without reservation. The hour has come to welcome this offering without resistance, to allow yourself to be carried into the vastness of your own becoming. What approaches now is not small or superficial. It is a profound shift that alters everything, not just around you, but within you, in ways words struggle to capture. But always the question remains, will you open to it completely? Alignment asks for more than belief. It asks for the careful attunement of thought, emotion, and being into one clear signal. It is like shaping a delicate flame. Too careless and it fades, too rigid and it breaks. Only in its precise harmony can the quiet song of the soul rise. When this alignment comes, it brings calm, focus, and unstoppable forward motion. Without it, the changes can feel confusing and heavy. But once tuned, you stand strong, rooted in quiet certainty and grace. What follows is intense. It reshapes you, renews you, and carries you to an unseen summit of yourself. This turning point, this choice, opens every door. The outer world presses constantly with its noise, its demands, its insistence that you stay scattered and divided. But now is the moment to break free of that spell, to descend into the sanctuary within, where stillness and clarity wait patiently. Energy must no longer be allowed to dissipate aimlessly, but gathered sharply, focused like a single beam cutting through darkness. When turned inward, it uncovers a wellspring of quiet strength, insight, and connection to the unseen. In that stillness begins the true change. Letting the noise dominate dulls what is possible and blurs what is real. By closing the door on the endless outside voices and turning fully toward the silent presence within, the path becomes yours again. This withdrawal is not escape but devotion, an act of care, of respect, of fierce loyalty to what you were always meant to become. Every breath spent chasing what never mattered only drains what was always waiting in the center of you. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. There comes a point when the endless outward striving begins to feel hollow, and what truly matters calls from a quieter place within. That call asks for nothing less than a full redirection of energy, away from illusions that drain, toward the quiet source that sustains everything unseen. The world outside offers shimmering promises that dissolve on contact, yet what waits beyond is solid, nourishing, and real. Moving closer to this hidden sanctuary awakens what has always been sleeping at the center of your being. This turning does not happen without effort. It asks you to leave behind roles, habits, and the weight of expectation that have clung so tightly until now. The reward, however, is immeasurable, a way of living steeped in stillness, clarity, and depth no outer achievement can rival. In this place, one finds a refuge untouched by noise, a well of meaning ready to be drawn upon without end. Throughout the ages, a small number of souls have been called to step forward when the world's light seemed to dim. Their task is not to stand above but to stand within, offering what only they can bring to a collective rising. To join such a gathering is to accept a higher purpose, not as a privilege, but as a shared responsibility to ignite what has gone dormant in others. Picture thousands moving in quiet harmony, each a steady ember feeding a greater fire. This shared journey demands humility and unwavering care, a willingness to act not for oneself, but for the sake of something vast and unseen. Together, these few spark a change that reverberates far beyond their own lives. It is easy to become entangled in the endless performance of being seen, chasing after approval, shaping oneself to fit the gaze of others, feeding off fleeting signs of validation. Yet the deeper call does not clamor for attention. It waits with quiet certainty, asking to be heard above the din, offering something unshakable and true. Here begins the invitation to turn inward, where no audience waits to judge, and no applause can reach. How often has energy been squandered bending toward opinions that were never yours to begin with? This path asks that such striving end, replaced by the steady presence that has always watched with patience and cared. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. Unlike the shifting moods of those around you, this presence does not waver. When attention moves toward it fully, what was fragmented comes into focus, and what was fragile grows strong. In that recognition lies a kind of freedom no crowd could ever grant, a quiet power rooted in being fully seen as you are, without pretense. It takes bravery to step this way, to risk vulnerability and trust, but it is through these that real strength emerges. What lies ahead asks not only to be blessed, but to become a blessing, not only to receive, but to give without conditions. This calling is not a destination, but a commission, an opening into a way of being that demands action as much as faith. To accept it is to embody the light others are searching for, to guide not with words alone, but with presence, courage, and an open hand. The task is not always easy. It requires perseverance through silence, integrity when unseen, and faith when the way ahead feels obscured. Not for glory, but because the care of others depends on it. Like one tending an unseen field, planting, nurturing, and protecting even when the winds are harsh or the ground seems barren, the commitment remains. Those who reach this point carry a quiet strength, one earned through choosing to stay when the work feels heavy, understanding that every small act contributes to something far greater than what the eyes can see. Staying present through the unseen labor is not for reward, but because the unfolding depends on it. In this quiet space, what many bring to the unseen presence, wishes, longings, demands for comfort, is gently turned on its head. What matters now is not what can be taken, but what can be given. The willingness to let oneself be shaped, the courage to let go of control, and the decision to yield to a purpose larger than any personal desire. Such surrender unsettles the ego. It calls for trust in an unseen pattern that stretches beyond comprehension, a design that includes your wholeness and the harmony of everything beyond you. When this alignment becomes the priority, life begins to move in ways no planning could have accomplished, a quiet current that carries you where you're truly meant to be. This moment is not static. It is a movement, a stepping back, so that something deeper can guide each step forward. There will be moments of doubt, of disorientation, where answers seem withheld and the way forward vanishes. But saying yes to this unseen rhythm opens doors no force could have forced, bringing growth and blessings that only reveal themselves in their own time. The willingness to stand in this place, to remain open, becomes the most valuable offering one can make, reshaping not just one life, but countless others in its ripple. At this threshold, something in the air hums with anticipation, as though the very fabric of who you are is about to be rewoven. This is not surface-level change. It is a deep unmaking and remaking, where worn-out identities fall away and what has always been hidden emerges. It feels as though a hidden passageway opens, pulling you into a light you hadn't noticed before. This passage often comes wrapped in turbulence. Familiar certainties begin to crumble. Old patterns are disturbed, and the ground beneath feels unsteady. Yet it is precisely this unraveling that clears the way for what's next, breaking down what no longer serves and making space for what must come. What feels like struggle is the necessary heat of transformation, tempering the spirit to carry what it could not before. This is not endured alone. An unseen presence surrounds, holding steady when everything else falls away. The change reveals what has always been inside, aligning life with its true path in ways no one could have foreseen. The practice of remaining steady is often mistaken for harshness or restriction. But here, it is the quiet foundation of growth, the invisible framework that supports what's being built. Now comes the invitation to cultivate this steadiness with intention, returning each day to what strengthens and clears, attending to what needs attention, choosing again and again to align. Think of this steadiness not as rigid, but as the patient forming of something living, a craft that chips away what obscures, smooths what resists, and reveals what was waiting underneath. Through this devotion, resilience takes root, connections deepen, and readiness for the greater task ahead begins to take shape. There are seasons when everything around you seems to demand a choice, to finally release what diminishes you, to walk away from patterns and people that keep you small, to stop feeding the quiet doubts that erode your resolve. Every small act of discipline planted in this season grows into an unseen strength, a deeper clarity that prepares you for what's ahead. This readiness is being crafted now, forming the very tools you'll need for what you're meant to build. What you cultivate in these moments becomes the force that carries you later. The resolve you shape now becomes tomorrow's quiet authority. Along the way, you begin to sense something unexpected, an invisible pull toward others walking the same unseen road. One day, without warning, you find yourself surrounded by a constellation of kindred souls, those who understand what words cannot capture, who stand with you in both silence and fire, who reflect your own aspirations back at you as if they had always known. For some, this alignment deepens even further, into the presence of a single soul who seems to amplify what was already stirring inside you. Meeting this person feels less like discovery and more like recognition, a profound sense that what you thought was missing has been quietly waiting all along. This collective is not a crowd, but a shared pulse of devotion, a tapestry of lives woven together by something larger than themselves. Together, they lift one another beyond what each could reach alone. If such a connection is part of your path, it becomes not just companionship, but transformation, a bond that turns love into a force of creation and healing that extends beyond the two of you. Whether your path leads you to a single soul or a gathered circle, let the heart remain open to receive what has already been set in motion. These encounters enrich the journey in ways language can't hold. There is also a quiet knowing that you are part of something far larger, a vast unseen network of others who carry the same quiet flame. Like points of light scattered across different moments and places, these souls are bound to you by a shared promise and a silent understanding. This connection is a hidden strength, waiting for you to remember it when the road feels lonely. Even when isolation seems to press in, that bond remains. Countless others move alongside you, carrying the same vision, the same mission, the same longing to make the unseen visible. This shared current is not bound by geography. It flows through the center of everything, reminding you, you have never truly been alone. That collective strength moves through challenges like water carving stone, sparking breakthroughs, and multiplying what each could accomplish alone. Your own path nourishes this web of souls, and in turn, their light fuels your steps. Together, a quiet revolution of presence begins to illuminate what was once hidden. Somewhere deep within, something long dormant begins to stir. A quiet hum grows louder, a force buried for lifetimes awakens, called into being by your readiness to meet it. What rises now feels older than memory, yet entirely new. A power that shapes your steps, pulling you closer to what you were always meant to embody. But it does not arrive uninvited. It waits for your full willingness. This is no abstract idea. This awakening is real. It fills your vision with clarity you didn't know you were missing. It sharpens your senses and infuses your choices with quiet courage, enabling you to move through complexity with a wisdom that feels both yours and beyond you. Yet it asks for something in return, the release of what still binds you, the courage to let go of the old fears that have kept you small. Imagine an ancient wall finally crumbling, releasing what was held back for too long, allowing the hidden reservoir behind it to rush forward into every corner of your life. That is the force now waiting to move through you, ready to reshape your story from the inside out. There are moments when something unspoken within begins to awaken, a quiet insistence to stand taller, to claim the strength already waiting inside. Each choice becomes an opening toward what you were meant to embody. Readiness is not imposed. It is chosen over and over, with each sunrise, in every unseen decision to trust the mystery, lean into the unknown, and let your steps align with what whispers from deep within. Choosing to say yes to this turning changes everything. A quiet current rises now, asking you to let it guide you forward into a life shimmering with connection and meaning. At times, uncertainty and hesitation creep in, cloaked in familiar thoughts and doubts that question your path just when you need clarity most. Yet this is the threshold where you are invited to unclench and release what no longer serves. The unfolding of this journey happens with a precision beyond comprehension. There is a rhythm to it that no human mind can fully measure. Surrendering fear opens you to unexpected beauty and possibility, allowing unseen hands to arrange what you could not have planned yourself. Growth begins invisibly, in silence and obscurity, long before it can be witnessed. You may not yet see the evidence of change or grasp the scope of what is forming, but far beneath the surface, the pieces are already falling into place. Even when fear tries to convince you that nothing is moving, faith reminds you otherwise, asking you to trust with quiet patience and to stay present while unseen forces shape the next chapter. Every pause is purposeful, every silence meaningful, preparing you in ways you cannot yet name. When doubt presses in, remember this: what is meant for you arrives when all is ready. No sooner, no later. Waiting does not mean doing nothing. It means meeting each day with trust and showing up even when the outcome is hidden. It is an ongoing practice, choosing presence over worry, trust over anxiety, and surrender over grasping. Let the deeper rhythm guide you toward what is already yours. What many call discipline is too often misunderstood as a rigid burden. Yet it is in truth a quiet force that clears a path where chaos once reigned. It is through the daily returning, the steady tending to what matters, that connection deepens and clarity sharpens. Those who have walked far along this path have known that such steadiness, whether through quiet reflection, service to others, or acts of devotion, is what readies the spirit for what cannot otherwise be held. This constancy creates a kind of gravity that draws blessings closer, inviting alignment with what you were meant to carry. It shapes the soul, carving away distractions, steadying the mind, and strengthening resolve. In this, you discover yourself able to stand firm even when everything else seems to shift. When you choose to honor your commitments to growth and integrity, you create a space where favor can flow freely, not because it is earned, but because it can finally find you where you are. Such steadiness becomes an act of care, for your own becoming, for the journey itself, for the quiet purpose that brought you here. Through this devotion, you create a fertile ground where what has been promised can finally take root and thrive, and your life begins to mirror the quiet beauty of what has always been waiting. What you bring to each moment, your focus, your choices, your unseen intentions, sends ripples outward, shaping not just what comes next, but who you become. Every thought and gesture carries weight, weaving together a future shaped by what you choose now. And in this instant, you stand at the intersection of infinite possibility. There comes a time when the question grows too loud to ignore, whether to continue scattering your essence outward into noise and distraction, or to gather it inward, where it can nourish what truly matters. The choice made here leaves traces in all the days to come, shaping not only what happens, but who you become in the process. When intention is focused, it carries a potency that cuts through confusion and brings creation into being. This concentrated presence has the ability to transform what it touches and reveal paths that seemed impossible before. When you turn your attention fully toward the sacred, you awaken a hidden current that clears what stood in the way and draws forth what was waiting for you all along. This redirection is neither automatic nor accidental. It requires that you notice where your mind wanders, how you spend your days, and which emotions quietly govern your choices. Do these patterns fortify you, or do they drain what little strength you've managed to hold on to? Devoting even a small part of yourself each day to silence, stillness, and listening restores what was depleted, preparing you to perceive the gentle signs that guide your next steps. Such an offering of your energy is never futile. Even the smallest act of presence plants seeds in the unseen, gradually shaping a reality filled with clarity, balance, and quiet fulfillment. The shape of tomorrow is not a riddle waiting to be solved. It is something you tend to in every moment, with every decision to pour yourself into what has meaning. To be fully aligned is not simply an idea. It is the harmony between thought, emotion, and soul that readies you to move in rhythm with what calls you forward. This alignment cannot live only in the mind. It asks you to meet it with feeling, with courage to release old hurts, and with a willingness to let yourself soften where you once hardened. Begin by steadying the mind. When its clamor subsides, clarity begins to surface. Practices of quiet reflection, deliberate breathing, or moments of solitude help clear the fog so guidance can emerge without distortion.